What's going on, guys? My name is Triforce Addiction. Welcome back to another COD mode video. So there has been a lot of leaks for Season 4 already coming out, but today I want to focus mainly on the patch notes. So I do understand that about a few weeks ago we did get like initial patch notes for the test server that I guess the Chinese version had. But I kind of wanted to wait before, making the patch notes video just in case there were any final changes that they made. And I'm glad that they did, because there are a lot of initial changes when it comes to gun sounds, other weapon performances, and tournament mode stuff that they changed as well. And they added a few extra, I guess, weapon changes that weren't present in the previous patch notes. So yeah, let's actually get into it. So first off, let's start off with the initial stuff that they're adding and they're changing as well. So first off, we do have a new multiplayer map, which is Arsenal. This is from Black Ops 4. Actually, probably one of my more personal favorite maps to play on in that game. I did make it to like level 1000, so I do have some prior experience with that map, so it might help me out when this thing comes out. Also, we do get a new perk called Dauntless, which will probably be in the Battle Pass. It was basically that perk that gives you more immunity to fire and just other, tactical or I guess lethal grenade stuff. So yeah, hopefully they made some adjustments to it to make it a little bit more useful, because really it's just another flak jacket or tac mask. They're adding a few extra things on BR, adding a new class as well as just, ground loot weapons, which is obviously the OTS-9, which is the new weapon that's coming out for Season 4. But keep in mind that this is going to be a season where we get 2 weapons instead of 1. And the second one, of course, is going to be the Makarov pistol. I thought it was going to be called the Psychov, but they're just going to call it the Makarov. They also have some weapon performance optimization for the PPSH, CBR, Jak-12, Type 25, BK-57. They also made some sound effects optimizations for ICR, M21, UL-736, and the RUS-79U, so they're finally having their gun sounds changed. And a weird change that they made for the tournament task difficulty is the fact that they actually made it a little easier for you to get a gold tier placement. And given that we do have those little, those little side challenges to do where some of them do require you to get, gold tier placements. I guess it's a little easier, but usually if you're like the top 3, you typically do become a gold tier. So it's not really that hard to do anyways. So now we move on to the weapon changes. So for the Krig 6, they added just one simple nerf, which is the ADS speed boost is reduced for the firm grip tape. It used to be 25%, now it's going to be 15%. So nothing really crazy. The gun's still fast as hell anyway, so yeah, this change means pretty much nothing. So for the HG40, they increased the upper chest multiplier from 1.1 times to 1.2 times, and they also increased the upper arms multiplier from 1.1 times to 1.15 times. So simply put, it's basically going to be a kind of like a Krig 6 SMG type of deal for the HG40. So it's going to be significantly stronger than it was before. The next change goes out to the Cordite. They did have a damage buff only for the second, damage range. Nothing really crazy, but whatever. They increased that shot multiplier buff from 1.2 times to 1.4 times, meaning that you're going to finally be able to 3-shot so long as you hit all 3 shots in the head. They also increased the lower arm multiplier to kind of like increase the chances of getting like a 4-shot to 5-shot kill. And they also increased the damage range from I think 2 meters within the first range, and that's basically it. I guess it's nice to see something like this happen for the Cordite. It hasn't really been changed in a while, and given that it's falling behind with all the other SMGs that are getting released, I think it's time that this gun gets a little bit more love. And speaking of guns that are getting a little bit more love, we also have a change for the Razorback. So the damage increased from 30-23-19 to 30-24-20. So basically, I guess an infinite 5-shot range in longer ranges, as well as increasing the chances of a 4-shot kill within the second range given the multipliers. But also another thing worth mentioning is that the headshot multiplier did get increased by 0.2 times, meaning that it's actually going to be able to 3-shot now. Of course, you're going to have to land about 2 to 3 headshots in order to actually manage that 3-shot kill, but it's nice to see it get a little bit more stronger. So now we have some more changes, which is the PDW 57. So the damage range increased from 10-16 to 12-8. So basically just 2 more meters on both ranges. And they also increased the lower arm multiplier from 1 times to 1.1 times, basically giving it a better 4-shot, 5-shot kill potential. So for the PPSH, they increased the damage within the first two ranges, just increasing it by 1 damage point, which I don't really think is going to make too much of a difference, especially for the PPSH. They also reduced the sprint to fire time from 170 milliseconds to 120 milliseconds. So I guess it's a substantial amount, but the PPSH was always kind of like a very fast weapon if you do use the 35 round mag. Unfortunately, a change that I would have wanted was to maybe add some further adjustments to the horizontal recoil, but I did mention earlier within the initial part of the patch notes saying that they did some weapon performance optimizations for certain weapons, and the PPSH was actually one of them, so for all we know, they might have actually changed that. So another change, and this was actually one of the changes that did not appear in the previous patch notes. For the HDR, the ADS time was reduced, making it a little faster. I don't know by how much, they didn't really specify that, but basically it's just faster. And the initial damage range increased from 30 meters to 45 meters, so you're going to be able to one-tap anywhere up to 45 meters now. So my initial thoughts of this change, the ADS time didn't really have to get increased given that it has extremely high damage, so I don't know why they did that. But I mean, given that it does take a while for it to bolt, but we also have fast switch, so it doesn't really matter. I don't really think that they should have increased the ADS time, but the damage range also, I think it should have just stayed the same. I think it's going to be a little bit too noob friendly now. So we have yet again another change for the Outlaw. So the damage range was increased from 1230 to 15 to 37 meters. So basically you're going to be able to one shot on the stomach about 3 more meters than previously in the other versions. The hit flinch also got reduced from 3.6 to 2, so I'm assuming that's a pretty massive amount. But given that it's a sniper, it's probably still, I mean, it's a sniper. Snipers don't flinch at all, come on. They increased base breath holding time from 0.5 seconds to 0.2, or sorry, not 0.2, to 2 seconds. So that's a pretty massive amount of breath holding that you have, because if you do use like the fastest build possible for the Outlaw, you immediately lose your breath. Like there's like not even a second in. So yeah, something like that was probably necessary for the Outlaw just to keep it more stable. So now we move on to a very unexpected change. Well, probably one of the two unexpected changes. So the MK2 carbine got a base movement speed increase by 3%. So it's going to be a little bit quicker, and given that the MK2 carbine has always been kind of slow when it comes to its movement, but extremely powerful if you just use the normal ammunition. Yeah, I think we needed this for the MK2 carbine. It hasn't really been used in such a long time, and recently, for me at least, I did get fluorescent, so I could finally use it on that legendary skin that I've had for a long time. So yet again, we do have another change for the DRH, reducing the ADS time from 260 milliseconds to 245 milliseconds. Not really a massive amount, I believe, but it's going to be faster nonetheless. And they also reduced the ADS bullet spread again. So it goes basically from 11 to 9, making it a lot more accurate than it was. And I don't know if you guys remember when the DRH first came out, and even after the Gunsmith, it had like the worst bullet spread accuracy, but now they're kind of like making this thing into an absolute laser, almost to the point where it's going to feel like the FR556. So now we move on to probably the biggest change of Season 4, which is the M13, surprisingly. So the RTC Heavy Long Barrel added bullet speed attributes. Well, it boosted by 35%. So it's going to be hitting targets like nothing else. I don't know why that was added, but I guess so. I mean, it is a bullet speed weapon. Sometimes I kind of forget that the M13 is bullet speed because it just hits your targets so fast you don't even notice that it's bullet speed. But yeah, they're adding that to the long barrel nonetheless. And they're also kind of like redesigning the silencer barrel. This is something that I'm pretty sure most people don't really use with the M13. They're removing the attributes for the ADS time reduction as well as the bullet spread, and they're kind of like making this into a makeshift task force barrel for the M13. I say that because usually task force barrels for most Black Ops weapons come with a range boost as well as like bullet speed boost and just other crazy attributes like that. Of course, the only downside is the fact that your vertical recoil is going to be increased by 15%. That's a pretty big amount, but I mean, if you use like, let's say a strike foregrip and maybe the rubberized grip taped together, you kind of more than make up for it anyways. So I don't really think that's going to matter, but that is one hell of a change for an attachment. Probably the biggest change for an attachment that I've ever seen. So the final change that they made, which was also pretty interesting, and it's kind of like making this trend with combat stocks. The RTC combat stock increased ADS time reduction from 9% to 15%. So you're basically getting 6% more ADS time reduction if you do use the combat stock. So yeah, that's a pretty big jump. So now we got some more changes for the AS Val, something that's a weapon that's actually been getting a lot of changes recently. They reduced the ADS time from 250 milliseconds to 230, so it's going to be a little bit faster. And they also reduced the ADS bullet spread by basically half. So it's going to be far more accurate than it ever was before. And this actually kind of helps me with certain attachment options, because typically I kind of use like this strike foregrip to kind of keep it accurate, but I don't really think I'm going to have to use that anymore. So yeah, that's a massive change for the AS Val. So now we move on to the Type 25. These are just more of, I guess, attachment changes rather than just weapon changes itself. The RTC steady stock got a hit flinch reduction increase from 20% to 30%, so you're going to flinch a lot less, but of course for me, I use toughness, so it's like whatever. For the YCAM combat stock, they increased the ADS time reduction from 10% to 15%, so it's going to be a little more faster if you do decide to use the combat stock. But the downside is that they added a hit flinch penalty, making it from 5% to 10%. So you're going to flinch a little bit more if you do use this attachment, but you do get a lot more speed now with it. So as I said before, especially with the M13's combat stock, they seem to be buffing them a lot, making them a lot more faster when it comes to ADS time. And I'm glad that they're doing it, because the combat stock sometimes doesn't really have like the best attributes. And there are times where I actually want to use it rather than no stock, so I could have a lot less recoil issues. But yeah, I'm glad to see that the combat stock is getting some adjustments from here on now. And even the BK57, that combat stock also has some different attributes as well, not only ADS speed, but ADS movement speed. So yeah, I'm glad that we're kind of like seeing a redesign with this one, like I said. So now we move on to the operator skills. So there are some substantial changes for operator skills, and given that, you know, some of them are very toxic in ranked, I'm assuming they had to buff some of them just to kind of have them compete with the other ones. So the War Machine, they reduced the activation energy, so it's going to take a lot less time to get the War Machine. Then they also increased the ammo from 8 to 10, so you're going to be able to blow a lot of people up a lot more frequently. For the Death Machine, they increased the ammo from 120 to 150. So yes, a huge change for the Death Machine. So now we move on to the Sparrow, Transform Shield, and the Bull Charge. These are like the last three changes for operator skills. So just like the War Machine, the Sparrow got an ammo increase from 7 arrows to 9 arrows. And for the Transform Shield, it's going to take a lot less time to actually acquire. So you get that thing a lot more frequently. And as for the Bull Charge, the increased energy consumption after each kill. So basically every kill that you get, it's going to basically reduce the time that you have with the Bull Charge. So it's a pretty big nerf for that. So finally, we do have the BR class adjustments. Tracker category passive skill, footstep detection range increased from 40% to 50, 80%. So I'm assuming that's a massive amount. I'm not really that sure. I don't play BR that often, only when I'm doing tournament mode with Alcatraz. Disrobe category passive skill, movement speed boost duration decreased from 5 to 10 seconds from 4 to 7 seconds. Rewind charges before upgrade decreased from 2 to 1. Recharge time increased from 45.36 to 45.45. For the Ravager launcher, never heard of this before, but damage range, or I guess damage increased from 25.25 to 25.35, and missile flight speed increased from 25 to 30. So I guess it's going to be a little faster with the missile. But yeah, those are all the changes for BR. So I think that's actually it for all the patch notes. So like I said, there's a lot of changes for weapons. I'm glad that they're making different sound effects for the ICR, because I mean, the ICR was probably like one of the only assault rifles left without a different sound change. So yeah, it's finally nice to see that happened. And as it goes for like all the weapon changes, I mean, they're all pretty cool. None of them are really that major. Except for the M13, of course, with the silencer barrel being far more useful than it ever was before. I can't actually wait to use that, because I think this is like the only Modern Warfare weapon that has like somewhat of a task force barrel. So yeah, I would really love to see how that's going to work out. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure to leave a like, make sure to subscribe for some more COD mobile content. I'll see you guys next time.